Wow, wow, wow. So the economy is taking a big hit right now. Truck drivers leaving in record numbers. I don't know who's on here. Sorry. Hopefully you can catch my replay. But I'm just gonna go over some stuff about what's going on right now. And let's go to the FMCSA website and read a little bit so I can tell you what's going on. One second. First of all, let me share my screen. One moment. Share my screen now. All right, here we go. So I'm just gonna, read a little bit. Talks about so it says the FMCSA Revising Guidance on Freight Brokers and Agents. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will also examine whether dispatch services would be considered brokers. And that's very important. And I always talk about this. I always talk about people saying they want to be a dispatcher. And yes, cool. There's a lot to being a dispatcher. You really have to do your due diligence and find out what works for you. That's why I keep saying dispatchers like at the bottom. It was it happened because when truck drivers were driving on the roads back in the day and they really didn't want to get their own loads, so they actually created this dispatching service because it wasn't really a dispatching service before. Just like I said, it's not regulated on the FMCSA website for any type of training. That's why I said the training that you get, some people will still be upset because they're like, I'm not learning anything. I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. But you have the information. It's very self-explanatory. If you have some reading material and someone, and you took a training class from someone, that's all you need to get started. That's, like I said, that's the bottom of the trucking industry. You want to go up to top. You want to be a broker. You want to have a fleet of trucks. You just want to get involved in the trucking industry. You just don't want to stop at being a dispatcher. I think that's just the beginning. And if you already have a driver to dispatch for you, hey, you're ahead of the game. It's a little difficult for people who do not have access to drivers already. I talk about that all the time in my training. So like I said, this is FMCSA Revising Guidance on Freight Brokers and Agents. I'm just going to read a little bit. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is moving closer to setting a controversy over how to define freight brokers while also clarifying the level of financial penalties for unauthorized brokerage. Okay, in a notice scheduled to be published in the Federal Register on Friday, the FMCSA is asking the public for responses to a series of questions to inform future guidance on the definitions of broker and bona fide agents. The agency stated, over the past decade, FMCSA has received numerous inquiries and several petitions related to the definition of broker. FMCSA is aware that there is significant stakeholder interest in how FMCSA enforces unauthorized brokers, it noted. Part of the problem is that there are differences in definition of a broker in different sections of federal regulations. In addition, because the responsibilities of truck brokers and freight dispatchers sometimes overlap, there is a question as to whether a dispatch service is acting as a licensed broker without proper authority. That's important, guys. Pay attention to that part. For example, FMCSA points out in its information request that some dispatch services cite federal regulations 49 CFR 371.2 as a reason they do not get an FMCSA brokerage authority registration. The section states that bona fide agents are persons who are part of the normal organization of motor carrier and perform duties under the carrier's direction pursuant to pre-existing agreement, which provides for a continuing relationship precluding the exercise for discretion on the part of the agent and allocating traffic between the carrier and others. But some dispatch services interpret this regulation, FMCSA notes, as allowing them to represent more than one carrier yet not obtain broker operating authority registration. Others interpret this regulation to argue that a dispatch service can only represent one carrier without obtaining broker authority. So basically, they want it where if you're a dispatcher, just a dispatcher without any type of license, authority or whatever, that you could only dispatch one carrier. So just go through this, read it again. I know I'm going pretty fast because there's a lot of information. The FMCSA stated that its new guidance is required by law to take into consideration the extent to which technology has changed the nature of freight brokerage, the role of bona fide agents, and other aspects of the freight transportation industry. Additionally, FMCSA must, at a minimum, examine the role of a dispatch service in the transportation industry, examine the extent to which dispatch services could be considered brokers or bona fide agents, clarify the level of financial penalties for unauthorized brokerage activities, 49 USC 14916, applicable to a dispatch service. Here are some of the FMCSA's questions. What evaluation criteria should FMCSA use when determining whether a business mode entity meets the definition of a broker? Provide examples of operations that meet the definition of broker, and examples of operations that do not meet the definition. What role should the possession of money exchanged between shippers and motor carriers in a broker transaction play in determining whether one is conducting brokerage? Makes sense. How would you define the term dispatch service? Is there a commonly accepted definition? What role do dispatch services play in the transportation industry? Now that's very important because the role that the dispatcher serves is supposedly that we represent the carrier, right? So they still want us to go on this website and to figure out what role we play. So if you go on this website, please state how you feel about what a dispatcher does, right? And it says, do dispatch services need to obtain a business license, employer identification number from the state in which they primarily conduct business? If a dispatch service represents more than one carrier, does this in and out itself make it a broker operating without an authority? When should a dispatch service be considered a bona fide agent? What role do bona fide agents play in the transportation freight? Electronic bulletin boards match shippers and carriers for a fee. The fee is a membership fee to have access to the bulletin board information. Should electronic bulletin boards be considered brokers and required to register with the FMCSA to obtain broker operating authority? If so, when and why? How has technology changed the nature of freight brokerage, and how should these changes be reflected, if at all? FMCSA guidance. Are there other business models, services other than dispatch services and electronic bulletin boards that should be considered when clarifying the definition of broker? Are there other aspects of the freight transportation industry that FMCSA should consider in issuing guidance pertaining to the definition of broker and bona fide agents? This is really something. So now I want to go to YouTube a second. And I want you guys to look at this, what they're saying here. Pay attention. Hold on.
So the White House and Democrats.
Okay.
French Hill. Congressman, we always enjoy having you on. Let's move on to this. You know, the White House and Democrats keep blaming inflation on a supply chain crisis, but we've got this new development, and it's a dangerous one. There's a growing number of truck drivers now quitting because soaring gas prices are wiping out their paychecks. They're talking $1,000 fill-ups at one time. We're already, you know, at the gas pump, we're already 80,000 truckers short. More than 70% of freight is transported by truck drivers. This is pretty dangerous stuff.
Well, Liz, it's great to be back with you, and you're 100% right. There's nothing more integral to our supply chain logistics than having enough well-paid, competent truck drivers in this country. As you point out, we're short drivers now due to the baby boom generation retiring. Many of the Biden mandates on employment, the vaccine mandates by the Biden administration, and now we're up 70% on diesel prices. If you're in a fleet, if you are a fleet driver for a big company like Walmart or JB Hunt, you probably have a price escalator in there for your diesel costs. It's up 70% from last year. But if you're an entrepreneur, a self-made truck driver working, you're paying almost $2,000, $2,200 a week, up almost $900, and you're in the spot market for fuel. You don't have a hedge or any sophisticated support. Yeah. That's what's killing them.
You know, it's an important point you make. I mean, truckers are so vital to our economy. It's a tough job that they do, right? We got to hand it to the truck drivers, what they do for us in our country. You know, hats off to them. But remember when the energy secretary basically laughed out loud when she was asked about increasing U.S. production to help lower gas prices? Watch this.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God. That is hilarious. Would that I had the magic wand on this. The message is we need to increase supply at this moment so that people will not be hurt during the winter months.
Did you hear that, Congressman? On one hand, she's saying, I don't have a magic wand. Well, yeah, they've been undercutting U.S. energy from day one. But then she's saying we need more supply.
Look, this is crazy. I mean, her cackling does not solve this problem. They've been wrong since January 20th, 2021. When they canceled the Keystone Pipeline, canceled all the regulatory benefits of building new pipelines, offering new federal lands for exploration, not approving pipelines to export LNG, and in their budget, proposing $145 billion in new taxes on the energy industry. And finally, and significantly.
So that's that, guys. This is just crazy right now.
In politics and in the media.
Too much going on. So I just wanted to share all the information about what's happening in the world today when it comes to trucking. So if you're interested in dispatching, you know, you can get started as a dispatcher. You know, I just wanted to let you know what's going on in the economy. We do have courses. We do teach about the trucking industry. We teach about, you know, starting from as a dispatcher and then growing your business onto something else. I mean, we want to be more than just a dispatcher in this. I mean, unless that's just something you want to do on the side. Well, talk to you guys later. Leave a message, comment, like, subscribe. You know the deal.